cohesion and development through exemplary service and contribution. But before we are joined by the Chancellor, let me just give you a preamble of what the Medal and the Hall of Fame initiative is. World over titles of honor are conferred in respect of recognizing people who have made outstanding and meritorious contributions to society or national interests as a country. The award of honors ranges from peace, security, culture, religious, sports, science, and other significant public or private endeavors. Over the years, a number of Ugandans and well-wishers have selflessly dedicated their lives to make Uganda a better and secure place to live in, given the outstanding contributions and acts of heroism which have nurtured patriotism, cohesion, and commitment to national development. Accordingly, the government of Uganda has a system in place in the Office of the President through the Chancery or Presidential Awards Committee for recognizing and rewarding outstanding acts of achievements of its citizens and other eminent persons in their invaluable support to the Republic of Uganda. Let me now welcome on Uganda First, Hajat Zamima Malole, the Chancellor and the Secretary to the Presidential Awards Committee. A very warm welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Yeah. Hail Uganda. The Award of Medals is an initiative that has been rolled out by the government since 2001, when the Honors and National Honors and Awards Act was rolled or promulgated by the Parliament, and it has come to roll out a staggering 17,000 medals to different people from public service, security forces, and any other, especially in the arts and culture world, who have done exceedingly well in the conduct of duty. Just give us a brief preamble about the state of affairs in the issuance of medals before we can go into the nitty-gritty of the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Like you have rightly said, that the honors and awards so far that have been given to the Ugandans, those who are exemplary, those who have done heroic acts, come to approximately 17,000 since the enactment of the National Honors and Awards Act. But also it's not that, that those people who and those awards are only those who did those exemplary acts or outstanding services, but even those who had done that earlier than the enactment of that National Honors and Awards Act.
That's right.
Have been recognized, because historically the awarding of medals and honors is traced back to the times when Queen Elizabeth, now the Queen of England, was still the President of Uganda. You know very well historically that she was the head of state at that time. So there are those people who went and participated in the Second World War. So when they came back, she actually ordered their being given awards. And from that time, we didn't have a law in place for rewarding and awarding these people who have contributed significantly to the national development of this country, and moreover in a voluntary kind of manner. So that is when the NRM government came in power, I think in 1995, after the 1995 constitution. They started putting structures in place, and one of the laws and policies they put in place was that of the National Honors and Awards Act. So we are not only looking at those people who contributed after the enactment of the law, but even those ones who have who have participated in heroic acts, who have contributed significantly. And that is why you see that sometimes we are awarding people posthumously. That's right. Those who passed on a long time ago, those ones who are still there, who are alive, and then other categories of individuals.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that introduction, and it has given us a very rich knowledge of exactly how far we've come and where this is founded. Now, the Hall of Fame, many of us out there who may be listening and watching are more cognizant when it is mentioned in the fields of sports, the arts and culture. One would say that since medals have already been rolled out, there's already a framework for medals. What is the Hall of Fame in this particular arrangement, and why is it so?
The National Hall of Fame that was actually recently launched. I think it was launched in around November 2020.
November 30th, 2021.
2021.
2021, yeah.
That is when it was launched by the Minister for Presidency, Honorable Mire Babalanda. You know that the law as enacted has a section, that is section 11 of the National Honors and Awards Act, makes the Department of the Chancery an archive for all those historical contributions of the people who have at least earned an honor or award from the Fountain of Honor.
That's right.
His Excellency the President. So in that way, we had to establish a Hall of Fame where we can keep all the information, the profiles, the contributions that sometimes are read out on different national days during the investiture program, to actually exhibit. We need to exhibit this information later on to the public. That is why we came up with the National Hall of Fame, such that we don't just have these rolls of honors, the memorabilia about these people who have made these important contributions, you know, to just attract dust somewhere in the corner, but also to display this information such that the people, all the Ugandans and even those who are not Ugandans, can actually have at another, you know, opportune time, at leisure, visit a place of national importance like a Hall of Fame to look at these heroes and heroines of Uganda and what their contributions are. Because many times you hear people asking, oh, Chris got a medal, but what contribution did he make? Well, on such days when we are giving you that medal, we announce and media.
That's right.
And also try to bring out this information, but it may be information that is brief about what contributions Chris has made. But now this is an opportunity where we make a display of the details of all this information and even any other information we may get about you, like your biography. Because as you realize, many times here in Uganda we don't have a very good culture of documentation, especially on what people have done.
Yes. You
may visit libraries, you may want to find information about a certain individual who has made very important contributions to the country, but then you never find this information. So that is why we have this information, and we have decided to put it at public disposal such that people can come and you know, do research, read about these people, and even have something to take away with them in terms of inspiration, because this Hall of Fame actually targets more the young people, the young generation, because we want them to be inspired, to aspire to also do some of those good acts, to also participate in the national development, because it's these individuals that also contributed whatever they had to contribute and bring the nation where it is today. So we want to continue having this to build this kind of motivation. We want to have this cohesion among the young people, because you know what is going on nowadays. Some people lose faith, maybe along where they have a certain project, but they don't know how to go about it. They would want to come up with a certain innovation, but this is a place where we have a lot of experiences. A lot of experiences can be shared there, and then they come up with at least some kind of hope and people to emulate as they go on with their businesses.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, there is something that may need to be explained a little bit more. Exemplary service and heroic acts. The fact that 17,000 medals have been conferred upon many recipients since 2001. There are other medals that were conferred upon Ugandans before that particular date. Does each and every one who has ever received a medal qualify to be on the Hall of Fame walk? For example, in the arts and culture, in Hollywood, there are stars that are emblazoned on a particular part of, and these are film stars, they are creatives who have done really well. They've exceeded what others did. Now, in the rollout of medals in Uganda, there are those who have received a medal and might be a little bit confused at a certain point why they are not on the Hall of Fame, but they have a medal, or the Hall of Fame in this particular context will cater for each and every one.
The Hall of Fame, Chris, is going to cater for each and every one. That is why you see that it cuts across all fields. For instance, there are those people who have done or contributed outstandingly in the area of arts, like we have mentioned. You have seen some people who have contributed in terms of sports, young people, and they have represented Uganda well.
Very well.
Actually, some of them are already there in our mini Hall of Fame, because we have started with a mini Hall of Fame, and later on we shall get to a bigger space. But they are already there. We have scientists. We have people who have contributed, like when you talked about the heroic acts, for instance, they have lost their lives. Okay, like the ones I talked about, who have lost their lives maybe in a war to fight for the peace of for peace in Uganda. We have had those ones who have been like now there are certain medals which they are actually even awarded according to what those contributions are, because we have civilian medals and we have military medals, we have police medals, and also prisons has come up with a proposal of their medals. They have not just been gazetted yet, but we have submitted them to the Solicitor General.
Prisons Department.
Yeah, like Prisons Department. But the civilians medals, I think they have a bigger catchment of what kind of contributions and then what kind of medal. But then there are those ones who are shot maybe during the struggle. You have heard about the Luwero Triangle, you have heard about the Damu medal, you have heard about the Kagera medal, you have heard about the Katonga. Now all those ones are military medals. But then on the side of the civilians, we have the Pearl of Africa, which is sometimes given to the heads of state, and then and it is at that level where we have, in that one we have the Grand Commander, which is next to the Grand Master, the Pearl of Africa. And then we also have you have heard about the Order of the Nile, you have heard about the Crested Crane, you have heard about the Nalubale Medal. All those are civilian medals. We have heard about the Independence Medal. There are those people who have contributed towards the independence of Uganda. And we have also had the Independence Medal. Now, when we had Uganda at 50, when we were celebrating the Golden Jubilee, we came up with the Golden Jubilee Independence Medal. So all these medals are there, and they are given to those people who have contributed according to a certain field, because you have seen agriculturists being awarded, you have seen women activists, you have seen young people who have engaged in maybe some scientific innovations. So ours may not be like the Hollywood the Walk of Fame, where you have to
walk past some of the stars.
You are starstruck, but ours mainly are those kind of contributions where someone has contributed to their community or to their nation.
That's right.
Okay, and according to our national interests. So that is why you find that we find these medals actually to be at the center of inspiring others to to do those things which are going to make them stand out. Because you find that what people are, voluntarily do certain things, they do them even very well.
With a lot of passion.
With a lot of passion, because there is passion there. Somebody is doing something and then for a certain cause. And sometimes even these medals, the way they come up, they come as a surprise. Yes, somebody may not know that they have been nominated, especially when we call them, but because we call them like in the last week to prepare, such that they can go and be awarded their medals on those days when the investiture ceremonies are organized. So they say, oh, who nominated me? But for us, we have a lot of people in the database. We don't even remember. We just say, but what you have to know, you have been invited. His Excellency is going to recognize you on such and such a day. This is the venue, and this is where to pick your card.
Wow.
And that kind
Perhaps to just dig a little bit deeper into how that is arrived at. When, for example, national events are held in Koboko, in Mukono, Kampala, Butaleja, the selection of medals per the district in which the national celebrations are going to be held should be something that informs that process, is it? So that, for example, if it is in Koboko, the distinguished men and women in public service, security, and any other field within that district don't miss out. Does it happen like that? Or it's a general draw?
It's a general draw, but I think it is something we can pick. It's a good one, because these people are drawn from different parts of the country. And what we have done to make it easy on their part, at least they are given a humble facilitation to enable them travel from wherever they are, so that they can get to the place where they are going to be recognized. Though it makes it easier on our part, and even on the part of those people who have to traverse, the whole country, or from one point to another to go and pick
for example, medals. If you are in Kasese and national celebrations are being held in Serere, it might be very difficult. Even if somebody gets the facilitation, it's a little bit more, and the tendency to say, okay, somebody came from Kampala, got the same facilitation like me from Kasese, that could help in settling that particular equation. Yeah,
though at one time, I recall, I think it was this year, during the Taresita celebrations, they were in Mbale. So most of those people, because mainly the people who are recognized on that day are mainly men and women in uniform. So most of the list of the people who are recognized came particularly from the Elgon area and the neighboring areas. But I think it is something that we have to also critically look at. But it also sometimes depends on the list. You may find that they have nominated people, and maybe the area where the investiture ceremony is going to be, you may not have many people from that district. Maybe they are coming from another district. But it's something that we can, gradually go on considering.
Embrace. Okay. Now, in benefiting the average Ugandan, the Hall of Fame, you've spoken very elaborately about how it's going to be set up. People will be able to access some of these books that contain information on what people did. For journalists, from my point of view, I would want to ask whether the Access to Information Act has been pretty much put into consideration, so that much of this information can be able to be gotten as and when it is needed. And in what format is it? Audio, visual? There are youth these days who would want to listen in audio books. Have you considered that?
Yeah, I think we have, because I will start with accessibility to this information. Is that we try as much as possible to make the information, for instance, the kind of contributions and the citations, we try as much as possible to put them in different formats. We have small booklets, hard copies. We have the soft copies where you can take a stick with information, but we also plan to put the Hall of Fame online. Yeah, because now the website for the Office of the President is under construction, So as far as our department is concerned, we have a lot of data, because all this information about these people has to go. So they're trying to develop for us a link where people can click and get into the Hall of Fame, because we have a number of other things that we would wish to be there, such that people can easily, because now, like you have talked about the youth, you know, it is easier for them, because nowadays for them it is about if you cannot have that kind of technology, digital then yes, if you don't have those digital platforms, then you miss out on you know, ensuring that you bring them on board. Then about the Information Act, for us here, this is information which we have already approved as public information, so anybody can access this information. We do not necessarily need a law to actually have this information accessible, because it is for the public. We intend this information to be for the public, so that when you want any information about anybody and concerning those what we require as their contribution and whatever goes with that, then we can give it to you. We don't have to say that this is information which you cannot unknow. So long as the information is there and it is for display, the Hall of Fame has already been launched, then you can have it. Whether you're a journalist, whether, you know, any other person can be able to access that information.
Okay. Yeah. Talking about the breadth of information that has been compiled on the range of heroes and persons who have exceeded in the conduct of national duty and public service, how have the families been brought into the equation? For example, there could be a lot more information about somebody that could be missed out, and either the son or the daughter or even any other relative is still alive but inaccessible. I don't know how this has been factored in. There is always a tendency, for example, somebody to feel like, oh, not enough has been spoken about my father, not enough has been given. Is that person able to come forth and not force, but do some edits? Just like you see Wikipedia, anybody can go on and put in some information that could have either been miswritten or misconstrued.
Yeah. They can, because I think this information, so long as these people have authentic information and we have proof that actually they are the rightful people, like you have talked about family, right. Nobody can know you better than your family. They can come in and give us that more information. That is why we are there, because we intend to ensure that this Hall of Fame keeps on, you know, growing. It keeps on developing. Instead of you know, you may have very little, because sometimes when you look at the citations, that the kind of contributions that these people have made, they may have left out some very, very important information, yet it is information that is good. That's right. So anytime when somebody comes and they find that maybe it is not, maybe even sometimes the right information, I would say, because sometimes there may be a mix, maybe in statistics or years, they can come and, you know, and we sit together and then we review that information and put the rightful information. Okay. Yeah, that is acceptable.
Now, recently on June 8th, National Heroes Day, there was a discussion that we held on one of the platforms on NTV Uganda, and the spokesperson for the Ministry of Defense, Brigadier Felix Kulaije, in our interaction with a gentleman from the Great Lakes Institute for Strategic Studies, debated who a hero is and who deserves to get the medal at what point in time. The Hall of Fame is an initiative that looks at celebrating those who have done extraordinary work in the conduct of public service. Exactly. In your view, as the Chancellor of the Presidential Awards Committee, can we understand who is a candidate for a medal and who is a hero?
It depends on the occasion. I'll start from there, Chris. Yeah. And there are certain things that happen, and people would wish to really, for instance, somebody may be asked, who is your hero? Okay? And why? So in this case, I would say that, for instance, if somebody has earned a medal, and like you have put it, this person has performed very well, has done outstanding, has performed outstanding, in a very outstanding way. He stands out generally.
Yeah.
So that means that that person surpasses and is above and is somewhere there. So, under the circumstances, we would look at these people as people worthy celebrating. And that is why when they bring the proposals, the nominees, to be given these medals, okay, or to earn this honor from the fountain of honor, His Excellency, we are very careful to actually analyze that information to the extent that we also have to go and do background research about their contributions to see whether really they merit to get these medals. Otherwise, at a certain point, it would be an embarrassment to the fountain of honor to have given somebody a medal who does not deserve it.
Okay.
So I want to assure you that indeed the people who get the medals are those people who should get them, because when they are nominated, we put them before the Presidential Awards Committee, which is chaired by Honorable Dr. Beatrice Wabdeya and 8 other members. And these people do the vetting. But alongside their vetting, us at the technical level, we have also assisted in carrying out background research about these people, and then we bring along that report to assist them, okay, to vet these people. Then later on, because they don't approve, they are sent, these lists and the contributions that these people have made are sent to the fountain of honor, okay? And then he also has to look at them, because he's the one to approve, because he's the one who has the mandate to approve these people who are worthy these medals. And in case, even at the level of the Presidential Awards Committee, these people don't merit, they put them off the list automatically. They have to go off, or if the information is not enough, then we write back to the person who nominated, or the MDA, or the NGO, because that is how they come in, or the RDC who has sent us those lists, okay, because they have to fill in certain forms, and inform them that in line with this, maybe according to this minute of the Presidential Awards Committee, these people have been brought back, please bring more information. Or these people have been brought back because we have found this and the other, so they do not merit. And that is one area. So about who is a hero, okay, I think all these people in one way or another, depending on how people perceive them, because of their exemplary acts, they may have gone. For instance, there are those people who sometimes voluntarily look after people in their communities, construct for them houses, dig up water wells, light up the communities by bringing electricity. They do a lot of donations here and there. So to them, they may be their heroes. It depends on who your hero is. Though previously, we used to look at heroes as those people who have participated maybe on the front line in the battles, and then maybe they have been, they have fought for peace and security in their country. Now it surpasses that. We look at all these other different contributions. So I wouldn't maybe put a line, confine it that it's only this way, because even on the Heroes Day, you saw it this time around, and even in the previous ones. Before, when we had just had the act, you'd only hear about the people maybe who participated in the wars, and even at that time when NRM, so you could hear about many more or less more veterans, many women and men in uniform. But now you can also see civilians being given medals on that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly, just a reminder that you are watching Uganda First, this week's edition, and the topic is the role of the Hall of Fame in enhancing patriotism, cohesion, and national development through exemplary service and contribution. And our guest is Hajat Zamina Malole, the Chancellor and Secretary to the Presidential Awards Committee in the Office of the President. Let's now take a look at what some Ugandans have to say about the medal rollout and the initiative that is the Hall of Fame.
I consider the Hall of Fame as a platform where different people who have done good service to our nation are being considered and given appreciation. First of all, the importance of appreciating such people. One, if you appreciate such people in public, so other young people also can take the same route to do the same work. Actually, as a person and a patriot, I consider, one, people who should be considered as national heroes are the people who are servicemen, like soldiers and policemen. I personally admire people who do UPDF work, people who are in Congo, people who are in Somalia, and their commanders in large. But I'm going to be specific about one person that I admire most is General Katumba Wamala. He has been a great pillar in our country and a good serviceman.
I think it is very relevant in a way that if at all we award those people who have offered service to the country, it will encourage those that are in service to work harder. Then I also look at Mr. Edward Sekandi personally as my hero because I served this country for really a long time.
Well, fame is very useful to this country because it inspires us and motivates us to do better things in life. It's really of great importance to this nation and the world at large. Someone to be regarded as a national hero should be doing outstanding activities in the name of his country, with love of his country. Personally, my national hero is Joseph Mayanja, aka Chameleon, because he's doing Ugandan music right from the start. Purely Ugandan, standing out in Ugandan music, inspiring a lot of youths musically and in life. So he's my hero.
I think it's so crucial. It's where we could even meet them as person, because some of us we desire to see those people. Personally, my hero is Dennis Masindo Nyango, the goalkeeper who did wonders in Uganda. He lifted Uganda as far as football is concerned. Up to now even, he's in South Africa, but still doing what is necessary. He's setting our country like nothing. Dodging 5 penalties in just one match, it's not easy. So it is my hero. I love him.
The Wall of Fame also recognizes people in very many categories. Let it be sports, politics. It motivates very many people to do good, to continue doing good for their country, and I think it is something that should continue because it motivates many to do good.
There you have it. Some Ugandans there sharing their views on who their heroes are and what they understand by the concept that is the Hall of Fame. Of course, those views represent the entire breadth of this particular concept that is celebrating those who have done exceedingly well and performed outstanding service in all fields. You saw military servicemen, there are sportsmen, and then there are leading people in government, including the former speaker, and of course it should be able to bring you the role and exactly the picture that is being that the people at the Secretariat and at the Chancellery rather are trying to put up. Of course, the topic for Uganda First this week's edition is the role of the Hall of Fame in enhancing patriotism, cohesion, and national development through exemplary service and contribution. And our guest is Hajat Zamina Malole, the Chancellor or Secretary to the Presidential Awards Committee in the Office of the President. You've had Ugandans there giving their views on who their heroes are and what they understand by the Hall of Fame. Before we go into the next set of questions, just give me your take on those particular views.
Yeah, it is very interesting to see that actually it is the youths themselves who are defining who their heroes are. So for me, I'm very glad that that is how they perceive who their heroes are. Like I told you, that it's a thin line, and you cannot actually, say that we should draw a line between who are the heroes and then who are those people who deserve a medal. So every other person have their perception on who their heroes are, depending on how they, they perceive those people. So I'm glad, and indeed, these are the people actually who we are targeting, that they actually even appreciate the importance of these awards and honors. Yeah.
The whole of fame. When I see the word fame, I've seen cases or incidents where people have fallen from grace to grass. In certain countries, most of what they've achieved in terms of medals and other rewards have been rescinded. I do not know whether it is part of the process. For example, if somebody who was one looked at by the young generation but then goes into a relapse, how does this cater for such cases?
So it depends on which kind of relapse, but for me I would look at that as something which is also catered for. For instance, if it is to do with maybe unethical conduct, if it's something to do with the moral, aptitude, something like that, it is already catered for. For instance, if somebody got a medal and then they involve themselves in corruption, in things which are not acceptable to society, and a complaint is brought against them, then our department has to write to these people. We also have to do some research and or maybe use the investigative departments like police, and then come up with a report which we have to submit to the committee, and then we have the process of removing this medal from this person, because the medal can be revoked by His Excellency the President. And also in the same way, we give these people 30 days, that is about a month, for them to return the medal. If they don't do so, then they can be penalized. They can pay a penalty, or they may face imprisonment of about 6 months, or both. So the mechanism is already, fluid, and everything is very clear. Nobody can get a medal and then they go back to to start misbehaving or indulging themselves in acts which are not accepted, because this medal, when somebody gets a medal, they are supposed to be exemplary. They are even role models, because at the end of the day they get you on a certain instance where you have maybe involved yourself in corruption. Then, like now, the people they are here talking about, and they say now, for me, the former vice president is my hero and he already has a medal, and then something happens, that is embarrassing. So instead of embarrassing the Fountain of Honor and the Ugandans who proposed you to get that medal, it's better it is withdrawn and then it is taken back to to the stores. So that is what happens. Closely
related to that is in case one chooses to misuse the medal, because they might think it is now my property, it was handed to me, I can do what I want with it. And then there are those who unfortunately fall on hard times, and then they look at the medal and probably say this is worth 1 million Uganda shillings, and have fallen on hard times. If such a person goes ahead and exchanges that medal for monetary reward, what happens? Have you also catered for them? Because there are many who will think about that. Just recently, the other day, there's a journalist, an editor of a Russian newspaper, who put forth his medal so that it can be auctioned and some money gotten to help the children in Ukraine. Now that's a good cause to use a medal for. Others won't use it for the good cause. They will want to enrich themselves.
That is catered for, but like I told you, that these laws are incremental in nature, and even when it comes to policies, they are for implementation. Because I'll start with the example you have just given, whether people can dissolve their meadows for money in monetary terms to cater for their hard times or to cater for a good cause. These meadows are supposed to, they can be used as collateral. Because there, the meadow doesn't actually go away from you, but you're using it to solve maybe that kind of problem, but then there is a process that has to be followed, and we are only waiting also for now Bank of Uganda to effectuate that area as far as the law is concerned. But then the other thing, when it comes to exchanging the meadow, and then you want to maybe to give it to another person, like what you first talked about, it may not be possible because you may be giving it to somebody who does not deserve that kind of that kind of recognition. And there has to be a process also that has to be followed, because like I said, there are those people who are recognized posthumously. They have passed on, and maybe the medal has been given to the son, or the family members have come and collected it. They have to keep it safely. That is why even when it comes to wearing it, you don't wear it on that side, okay, on the left, on that side which shows that it is yours. You have to put it on the right. Very important. Because these medals sometimes are beneficial to the people who have earned them. For instance, when you put on your medal and maybe you want to get some public services, like you have gone to hospital, you don't have to queue up. For instance, when the people in the queue, or when you go to the bank, you have to get these services as fast as possible. They have to treat you, and they have to give you this VIP kind of treatment. And like I also told you that in some public hospitals, you may find that they may pay a fee for some small services, but then you don't have to pay. There could be discounts for them. Yeah, but you don't have to pay for those services. Wow. You don't have to pay for consultancy. So these are some of the things that come with the medals. Even when you are for an occasion, even if you're not going to say anything, you're supposed to be seated with those dignitaries, at least, you know. Wear it proudly. And when you have won it, because that is the only way they can know that this is it. So you have to have that kind of, you are honored, you have to have that kind of treatment and respect. Yeah, because it comes, and even when you're traveling, for instance, you may have traveled even economy. For instance, you would have gone on a flight and you're in economy. But there in the airports, mostly in the Commonwealth countries, and you have put on your medal, they understand them, and they will give you this first class treatment. They carry for you your bags, you know, and they give you that treatment which is due for a dignitary who has, you know, who is amongst them there. That is beautiful. So those are some of the things that, you know, that come with this medal, some of the benefits. So we don't have to just treat them in any way that maybe you want to exchange it, you want to lend it to your son or your daughter. No, it is not allowed. Okay, we are entering the final bend of the Uganda First discussion today. Before we tackle our very last aspect of sensitization on the Hall of Fame and how this is going to roll out, let me just ask you to again speak to Ugandans. If you have won the medal, which side are you supposed to wear it? And if you're wearing it because it's your father or a relative who has received it posthumously, which end should it be? Okay, for instance, when you are wearing a medal, I wish I had come with mine because I earned one in 2019. Wow. You have to put it on the left. On the left. When it is yours, like how my brochure is here. Yeah. Then if it is not yours, you've earned it on behalf of your father, or your brother, or your other family member, it has to appear on the right. Okay? And then it doesn't have to come with any benefit. At that point, you should not come to the airport or the bank and demand that you be treated. Medal, it is for him. Okay. It is his honor, it is his legacy, so you just keep it safe somewhere. That is the better option. In most cases, they come a bigger version of a medal, like for instance in the Golden Jubilee medal, there are 3 there are three pieces. There is the big piece, then there is another piece which is a replica of the bigger piece. So that one you can wear it on some functions, on some occasions, and then there is one which you can put on anytime. Like when I'm coming to office, when I'm going, you know, doing my official duties, I can put it on, and you know, I stand out there and everybody knows that, you know, I'm a medalist. Okay. I'm honored.
Wow, that is a very, very interesting. Now take us through what the sensitization drive is. How are Ugandans going to be educated about the Hall of Fame? Who should look out for what, on which platforms, and how best can they be part of this very wonderful initiative?
Yeah, thank you. That is why actually I'm here today, this morning. Part of it is to sensitize the Ugandans out there to know and learn more about the Hall of Fame and these national honors and awards. So we shall use the televisions. We have had also radio talk shows in local languages, wherever we get an opportunity. But we are going to intensify our sensitizations by also going out there. And you know, on different occasions we have brochures, we have flyers at our disposal about the Hall of Fame and then the national honors and awards. But also, like I informed you, we are going to have this website, Office of the Presidency, because right now when you go there it is active, but then not all the information has been uploaded. So on our department for Chancery, when you click on the Department of Chancery, it will quickly take you to our department to see what is there. But then we are still in the process of having a link which can enable us now get into the Hall of Fame, because that is where we shall get all these other people who are in the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame is going to be intergenerational, because the space that we are occupying now, we are operating a mini Hall of Fame, a national mini Hall of Fame. But now we shall have a national Hall of Fame in a bigger space when we get the government campus in Bwebaja. That's where they have promised us a whole floor, because it will be a museum, like, you know, where people can come and access and, you know, see all this information. But for now, we can have only some information periodically. For instance, we can have like information about those people who first earned their medals, you know, because now, right now, what we have are those former presidents, we have former vice presidents, we have some scientists, we have sportsmen, we have some women activists, you know, but those ones who are at the helm of some of these kind of contribution at the time when they were recognized. So annually we shall be changing and putting their different faces, because we want every other person to appear there. But in terms of information, the information will be there when you want it. But when it comes to display, or for instance of their portraits, there will be intergenerational walls. We keep on changing the walls.
All right, thank you very much, Hajet Zamina Malole, the Chancellor and Secretary to the Presidential Awards Committee in the Office of the President. Of course, a special commendation also goes out to the National Secretariat of Patriotism Corp in rolling out this particular initiative. The topic for today has been the role of the Hall of Fame in enhancing patriotism, cohesion and national development through exemplary service as well as contribution. That's it for Uganda First on this edition. I've been Chris Higenyi, sitting in for the indefatigable Andrew Chamagari. It's been a pleasure having your company. Please do tune in next week for yet again another edition. Have yourselves a good day.